In this lesson, we'll go over setting up Maya software render settings for rendering on the farm. So just going to go ahead and open up my scene file. There we go. So the Maya software work, going to go ahead and open that up and just wait for it to open. And we'll see that it's still taking a little while to render or open up. So we'll know that for our rendering settings, we'll want to take that into account for how long the scenes are taking to open. There we go. So, same as in the previous lesson, going to go under my rendering menu set, going to go up to render, and going to go ahead and create a Backburner job. So, same as before, we're going to want to give a new name to our file. I'm just going to include all of my scene file information here because it has all the information I want, but include my name at the beginning so that we can designate the file as my own and distinguish it from everybody else's files on the farm. Under the description, going to go ahead and call this a Maya software render test for demo. And once again, the job name needs to follow the standard Maya's naming conventions, no spaces and no unusual characters. And the description is free range, so you can have spaces and special characters, just whatever you need in order to be able to quickly identify this render from all of your others. Under the priority, we want to leave this at 50 so that we don't bump other people's files out of the way. First come, first serve, please leave it at 50, do not annoy other students. Start frame and end frame, we want to make sure is set to my time slider or however far you want to render. Again, normally this picks up automatically from our render settings, but just make sure that it is set here. Right. Under the task size, please refer to the previous video on full details on this, but long story short, make sure that for very short render times we want a larger task size so that it opens the scene file as few times as possible. But for longer render times, more than 5 minutes, we'll want to make sure that this is a smaller task size, like 2 or 3 frames, just so that all the renders are evenly distributed between all the computers on the farm. So for my renderer, I'm going to want to make sure that this is set to Maya software. We don't want anything in additional options. It should render on all of our processes properly, straight on its own. Under the manager name, we want to make sure this is set to bhclab_00. Leave everything else at defaults down here. And I'm going to turn on manually start job. Generally, you want to have this turned off so that it starts automatically. But again, going to be showing you stuff in the next video. So, and under here, I'm going to turn off use custom command because there isn't anything in particular that we need. If I knew that my render times were going to be longer than an hour, I would want to go through in here, and after priority, I would want to go ahead and type in hyphen timeout 120. This would make sure that if my render time is going for more than an hour, it won't time out until 2 hours after. So that's all well and good, but I don't particularly need that for this one, so I'm going to turn off that use custom command and double check my settings. Helps if I actually bring down my task size, like I said I would. And this one's going to be, it's about 3 minutes for a render, so I'm going to set it to like 5. Let's be good. If it's down to like 10 or 20 seconds for a render, you can bump this up to like 10 or 15 tasks, frames per task, but since I'm a little bit longer, I'm going to leave this at 5. So everything else is well and good. Sure, and go ahead and say submit job and close. And now it's up on the farm waiting for me to take a look at it, and we'll get to that in the next lesson.